Hello everybody and welcome to round 5 of the OGRL Coffee Cup here from the Nurburg Ring Grand Prix circuit, where the clouds have come overhead and we're expecting a very turbulent race, I think, as far as cloud cover, and maybe even some rain goes as well over the course of the hour-long race in a moment. It's myself, Ewan, and Parfitt bringing you this broadcast here from the Nurburg Ring Grand Prix circuit. That layout there says no chicane. I don't know if I go that far. It's the fast chicane, though, at the end of the straight, which means less of a braking zone on the way towards turn 14. Hopefully not, but maybe less overtaking chance when they get there as well. But either way, we are just about towards the end of qualifying at the moment. Brian Faluna currently holds the best time, but there are still, as always, some drivers yet to come across the line. Bradley Tidwell has yet to finish his session. He's just coming across the line right now. Adam Hansen not too far behind him. Bradley Lovings has entered the session very late because he's only getting towards the end of his outlap right now. Tidwell moves up to 9th place though, and will follow Merriam on his way as we do the final minutes of qualifying. Yeah, it seems that Lovings has only just popped in for maybe a lap or two at the end here.
Yes, he didn't get out of bed. He didn't get out of bed. So, unfortunately, Bradley Lovins was late to get into qualifying. So, yeah, unfortunately for him, not good. But this should be a good one. Nurburg Ring GP, we haven't done this one for a while. We normally do Nurburg Ring, some formation and Nordschleife attached to it. But I think this is the first time in absolutely ages where we've just done the GP layout.
I do remember it on season 2's calendar. But that had 24 rounds, and we did a round just on the Nordschleife as well. I seem to remember there was a Grand Prix circuit round as well. Maybe I'm misremembering that slightly, because it was probably a year ago at this stage. Ryan Merriam goes over the line again, by the way. He moves up to 2nd place. So Faluna under a bit of threat here. Look at that, just 600ths of a second behind for Merriam. It's going to be an all Porsche front row by the looks of it, but who is going to be on the pole? Merriam's got 3 minutes and plenty of time left to do that final lap time. And Tidwell has timed this one well as he looks to take the Pro-Am pole ahead of Justin Dustface, who currently has it just a few hundredths ahead of him. He does, and that's not unexpected, to be honest, for Tidwell, who should now take that forward into the race, because there's no other Pro-Ams with laps left on the board for him to overtake. Oh well, I'll say that Hansen actually had one, but he moves up to 10th place, doesn't even get ahead of Dustface by the looks of that. Here's Ryan Merriam, though, through the final sector for the moment, 52.8, his current best, and we'll see how he goes as we come through the final sector now. This is what I mean in a moment about the fast chicane. Certainly not no chicane. You do have to think about it, certainly, but it is the faster version than what you normally see. There he goes through the left and the right. And is this now enough to take pole position for Ryan Merriam? Down to 2nd gear, looking for a late apex. Has he just missed the apex there slightly and given himself a worse chance of taking Faluna's pole position? No, he hasn't. He's taken a 42.7, and he has taken the pole. Half a tenth of a second quicker than Brian Faluna in the end. That should stand for Ryan Merriam to take the pole position.
Job from Ryan Merriam there. Well done, taking pole position away from Brian Faluna. Bradley Lovins starts himself up in 22nd at the moment, as he's got less than a minute to go to get around this racetrack. I'm going to find that very difficult that he's going to get round in less than a minute. But Bradley Tidwell coming into the final sectors now in that Pro-Am. Is he going to extend his time? He's got 2 greens on the board. He's got a yellow. What's the offset as he's coming through that fast chicane now?
He certainly is. Tidwell is on lap 4, so I'm going to guess this doesn't count, but why he's got enough fuel to do this anyway, I've got no idea, because he's continuing on. He should take Pro-Am pole anyway, but he's carrying on in the meantime anyway. Over the line he goes, and indeed it doesn't pop up on the screen because there was no laps remaining It's going to be just Tidwell left, and as you say, there's only 10 seconds remaining of the session, so he is not going to get to the line in time, and so he's going to start 22nd. It's going to feel very similar to Mid-Ohio, where he certainly had the speed, but he started way back in the pack behind some of the AM drivers, and it looks like that is going to happen again here.
Yeah, poor old Tidwell is going to have to try and go forward as well. That's going to be a challenge for him, getting his way through the grid. We've got 5 minutes of warm-up to go when all the guys are out on the racetrack, and we'll be up and running after this one before we go into the race, and then we'll be able to bring you up the grid, because we've remembered this week, Mr. O'Leary, that there's a 5-minute warm-up.
I always remember.
No,
never forget it.
Over. It might be just me.
I do remember. These days I do. Certainly. So there you go. But yeah, the warm-up session will continue on. I'll just read you out the championship standings, by the way, because I realise I haven't done that yet. We'll show you these standings at the end of the day when we know what the result is, of course. But for now, the current standings, I'll read them out to you. Balluna leads by a point ahead of David Van Roy. She managed to get after a podium finish for Faluna at Belle Isle. Bradley Lovings is not that far away, only 12 points, considering the trials and tribulations he's had. That's not bad. Hayden Young and Tim Probert then round out the top 5. That's only covered by 18 points. Cody Bont is leading the way in Pro-Am, also by just 1 point, after Justin Dos Face took 16 points out of him at the previous race. Quentin Price then is in third place ahead of Brad Tidwell and Tom Bryce, who then rounds out the top 5. Claudia, then the last of those to have been at all the races so far. He is already 22 points back. And in the AMS, Heath Hollinger is now leading ahead of John Gardner. That's by just 2 points. Then you get a bit of a gap, to be honest, back to Jim Sawyer, Michael Vester and Justin Race, who round out the top 5. Nicholas Marshall, the last driver to have been at all the rounds so far this season. It's way too early, really, to read too much into those championship standings. But one thing about the point system here in OGRL means that it always stays very, very close, whatever the whatever the positions are. Really, it's always very, very close between the drivers.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it so interesting, doesn't it? When it comes into the standing situation, I think it's going to be a gripping finale, as it normally is when it comes down to them, and that's the thing. There's not a massive gap, 2 points in the AMs between Hollinger and Gardner, and not a lot between the Bont and Dos Face in the Pro-Am, so it's always going to be tight, and I'm looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be epic one with Faluna, Van Roy and Lovins not too far off the board either. No,
it's going to be very interesting to find out how it transpires by the end of the season, as the warm-up session now does draw to a close, and we get ready for the race here. An hour long, as always, in the OGRL Coffee Cup, and we'll see what the conditions are like, as we were shown the forecast at the start of the day. Very, very wet indeed, the forecast. So let's see if that comes true or not. Didn't get warm-up actually in the rundown, so we'll see how the conditions are, and if indeed it is raining, as Ryan Merriam takes a pole. He's ahead of Brian Faluna. Tim Probert and David Van Roy then are on row 2, ahead of Javier Sierra and Jeremy Cheney on row 3. Brad Tidwell 7th, ahead of Hayden Young. Justin Dos Face and Adam Hansen running at the top 10. Tom Bryce then ahead of Alexander Claudio is your row 6. It's Pano Hanno in 13th, ahead of James Sillerick, with Will Bailey in 15th. Heath Hollinger's taken pole again in the AMs, ahead of Cody Bont and Quentin Price on row 9. Michael Vester and Julian Racer on row 10, running up the top 20, with John Gardner and Bradley Lovings in row 11. Brian Hoskins and Jim Sawyer are the first all-AM row on row 12. And Brett Basil, Landon Abbott making his debut tonight. Nicholas Marshall and R. Marcinek. I haven't got a first name there, but that's your grid for the Nurburg Ring. And based on the forecast we were shown, it was going to be tipping it down by now, with about 100% chance of rain, but apparently not. And apparently it's going to be a dry start.
Yeah, apparently there was an error in the session, and it's dry all the way through. Just to let you know. Let you know.
Thanks for that.
That's okay. No dramas. So unfortunately we don't end up having rain, I believe.
It's a bit disappointing. It saves me talking about it for an hour, wondering when it's going to come, whatever. 7:20 in the morning. That is not the start time that was promised, but that shouldn't have mattered because of the because of the rain before the race, but as you say, the session a little bit different. So anyway, they'll not have to worry about that as Vesta and Basil decide to start from the pit lane. The leaders, Merriam and Faluna, bring themselves around the final corner now as the pace car pulls in to get this race underway. Out of the final turn, Merriam might go immediately here because Faluna gave him a bit of a gap, but Faluna was expecting him to go immediately. That's why he gave himself a bit of a run. Merriam makes them wait though, and now goes the green flag waves here from the Nurburg Ring, and we are underway with Brian Merriam taking the lead on the way down towards turn number 1. Faluna in second. Probert and Ben Roy side by side. Meanwhile, for third place is Faluna. Looks at the inside of his fellow Porsche there. He's not going to get anywhere as he has the outside for turn 2, or is he? He's making a good fist of this on the outside, and he's still going to be on the outside by the time it's turn 3. But nevertheless, this is a great run from Brian Faluna all the way around, and Merriam will still be there just about alongside. This is great racing between the two of them as they get onto the first lap and out the first sector.
Yeah, these two have been absolutely side by side all the way through the first half of this race. It's still continuing as well. Tim Probert getting his nose up the inside. Faluna still trying to fight round, and at the moment, Merriam just about managing to hold on. He gets the lead back again from Brian Faluna, and now Faluna's under pressure from Probert going through Dunlop curve. Oh, so close, but now they filter out the single file.
They certainly do. And no trouble even in the background, which is fantastic news, other than maybe for Marcinek, who seems to have dropped down. But that is about it. Again, we'll have a look at replays at the end of the race, as we have to in these replay broadcasts through the double chicane, I suppose, of turn 11 and turn 12, the pit curve, and now on to the straight. Hayden Young is the last in this group. You can see Boa defined top 7, breaking away from the rest of the field. Yeah,
they're escaping up the road at the moment. Good evening, Jambag Johnson. Thanks, guys, he said. And Tom Gans is here. Evening, folks. Evening, Tom. How are you? Hope you're well as these guys continue to fight, come through the final corner for the first time here. 53 minutes on the clock, and at the moment, Merriam, Faluna, Probert, Venroy, Javier Sierra, Jeremy Chaney, Hayden Young, all mixing it up. Hayden running side by side at the moment as well, with Chaney going down into turn 1. Young's got the inside line. Is he going to be able to make it through? He does. He goes hard on the brakes. Ah, wow. Hayden Young there, very, very close to hitting the car in front, which is the Corvette of Javier Sierra.
So McLaren, is it? Sierra, but in 5th place. But yeah, very nearly hit him in towards turn
McLaren.
1.
Sorry, my mistake.
That's all right. Yeah, 5th place for Sierra and now 6th for Young. So that's the first change inside the top 9. All the other positions have stayed the same, and that's why maybe we didn't give enough credit to Merriam to keeping the lead off the start here, and maybe we didn't give it enough weight either, because it is going to be pretty difficult to pass around this circuit. We're seeing that already. Top 9 staying as they were, other than Young getting past Chaney here. It looks like Young might well try and take over Sierra as well, on the way down to the hairpin, but not this time round. Faluna's quite close to Merriam, but other than that, it's getting single file early, and it remains to be seen just how difficult this could get in terms of overtaking.
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult in general, this circuit. I find that it's not always great, but it depends on the car that's racing around it. I think that's the thing here, and I expect these guys to be into some form of mix. Will Bailey, however, is sitting there.
Oh no.
So he's been off the circuit at this moment in time and had a little bit of drama.
One of our pro-ams. He started 15th and has already dropped himself down the field, I'm afraid, in this early part of the race. Has had to tow back to pit lane and becomes our first driver to do so in the first 5 minutes of this race. As out of the final corner for this battle for 5th position again. Will Young do exactly what he did to Chaney, now to Javier Sierra, who he very nearly hit making that move. He's shaping like he's going to look, and he is going to go for it again. Fairly late on the brakes, not late enough this time. He wasn't quite as close this time, and so couldn't get it done.
No, he couldn't there as well. Tom Cairns with some very informational information in the YouTube chat. Came back from my walk and met a cute black cat.
That's not good news normally. Isn't that bad luck, or is that just myth?
I'm not entirely sure. I think I don't know, to be honest. Tom, is it bad luck? Let us know if you are still here, of course. It's a bit of a random thing, but there we go. As he's, well, been for a walk, I guess.
It's fine, you can see it this time of night as well. Wouldn't it just fade into the darkness? Anyway,
probably with yellow eyes.
Thinking about it too deeply.
Ben
Roy gets side by side. Yeah, Faluna's made a mistake somewhere, and he's lost out to Tim Probert, and David Van Roy tries to take the position as well. You've got to take these chances when you see a driver off in front of you like that, and you see them just without the momentum, and Faluna's not quite settled just yet after that mistake. Van Roy has got to try and strike in these next couple of corners before Faluna gets comfortable again, and he's clearly not comfortable. Misses that apex as well at turn 11.
Yeah, poor old Faluna under pressure at the moment through the right hander of the Vasteiner, go up to Ad Van Bogan, the right kink in the race circuit as well. It's never bad luck with a black cat. I thought it was as well. Or is it deja vu? Oh, I don't know.
Maybe if you smash a mirror with a black cat, it might be bad luck.
Show the mirror to the black cat and smash it.
I don't know, but that sounds like it would be bad. Anyway, it's all. Oh, I was going to say something bad then. It's all a load of rubbish anyway. Anyway, over the line, lap 3, sorry. Yes, Young has lost a place in the background to Cheney as well. So it seems that it's mistakes that are creating positional passes at the moment, and Young can't get that position back again. I have a feeling he might have been trying a bit too hard to pass Sierra in places and has lost places as a result. Oh, it's Dust Face there. Speaking of trying too hard, breaks way too late trying to pass Tidwell. And Justin Dust Face now tries to take that position in his place as well. He is the best place to the Corvette. Corvette's is Claudio, and he's looking round the outside through turn 2 and 3, looking to get an even better position. He's very narrow to turn 4 though. They give each other an acre of room, and therefore Hansen comes through as well. So Dust Face is going to drop out the top 10 if he's not careful. Here he goes. He's on the inside at least, but he's going to turn to the outside, and Dust Face loses his place in the top 10.
Oh yeah, poor old Dustin Dust Face there. Slips down into 11th place. Tidwell still leading the Pro-Ams. Claudio Hansen in behind that. In the AMs, Heath Hollinger is leading the way with JT tucked up right behind him, and Hoskins having a nice little battle a little bit further back. So action all the way through. But at the moment, this is Dustin Dust Face with Hansen, with Claudio, as they're continuing the fight up now through the Schumacher S's and on their way up into Michelin at this moment in time. Very, very interesting racing, and it's good to see Alan Hansen rocking the BMW.
Certainly is. He's one of the lone BMWs these days. Used to be a very popular car, but he's one of only 2 in this race today. Justin raced in 18th place, excuse me, at the moment. Is the other one of those BMWs we've got here today. Will Bailey, unfortunately, is out of the race, the first of our retirements from the 28 starters. Already, unfortunately, he went for a spin through the Schumacher S. And again, we will have a look at the incidents at the end, as always. Out onto the front straight again, and Dust Face is right into the slipstream of Hansen. Again, is he going to make the same error as he did before? Or is he going to try and win the place back as soon as he's lost it? Well, he's not close enough for a big dive down the inside, like he seemed to manage. I'm not sure if he was diving inside or outside on Tidwell, but anyway, it was too late on the brakes. As we go back to Lovings, because he is working his way through, or trying to. He's up to 16th for now.
Yeah, up 6 places as well. Many Western cultures believe black cats are bad luck, while in ancient Egypt, Japan and Scotland, they're believed to be a symbol of good luck.
If ever you needed a sentence that described that it's all a load of rubbish, then there it is.
I don't know. Why is Scotland? I have no idea. But then again, they eat haggis, as Bradley Lovins is having a go at Quinton Price on the inside. Gets the job done through the Valvoline curve and then into Ford as well. So Lovins up 7 places at the moment. JT up 4 places. Landon Abbott is up 4 as well. So it's nice little gainers there. But the Claudio is up 3 inside the top 10 as Lovins tries to make his way through the field.
Absolutely. He's making a good fist of this at the moment. Oh, and he's going to get one immediately here. Hillary with a very good run out of the hairpin, and surely not through the Schumacher S. It would be spectacular. Oh, round the outside through there. Amazing. And Quentin Price also follows through. Hillary there is going backwards quickly, and this is what can happen at the Nurburg Ring. Moments where you are looking secure in your position for a long time, and then one comes through, all of a sudden they're all past you. Cody Pont also follows through as well.
Yeah, unfortunately for James Hillerick, he's kind of lost places about as often as London buses come. You don't get one and then you lose three at the same time, and unfortunately that is exactly what Hillerick did there. Lovins, Price, Bont all having a go as well. Price is down another place as well, up 2 for the day. He was up 3. Contact, a little bit of contact there with Hillerick around the final corner, but this Lamborghini of Quinton Price is not looking comfortable with Bont and Hillerick tucked in behind him.
Well, let's find out on the way towards turn number 1. Quentin Price is maybe going to try and re-overtake here. That's very late on the brakes from Bont though, and if he he's got the apex as well. That's very nicely done in the Porsche. He keeps 15th place ahead of Price and Hillerick as well. But I mean, my goodness, you don't see very many side-by-side moments at all really through the Schumacher S, but there they were, absolutely locked together, and Lovings got through. I almost feel like Quentin Price did almost a better job in terms of following through there. It seems even more difficult to do as one of the Porsches going slowly. That's Marcinek, who's trying to stay out of everybody's way. He's gone a lap down. Yeah,
he has early on as well. Unfortunately for Marcinek, Bailey's also been off the race circuit and jumped back to pit lane. So I'll find out what happened. I don't know if Marcinek actually started from pit lane, did he? Because I can't find anything that he's had any dramas on as well. Can't find anything on him. He's had problems for Marcinek, but Claudio is having a nice little ding-dong, and he's got a BMW of Hansen tucked up right behind him at the moment. So, yeah, Hansen having a good old go in the BM. I think is he? Oh no, Julian Rees is also in the BM. But yeah, some great action here from Hansen, and Hayden Young has also got himself in the mix again with Jeremy Cheney.
He's got to try and get past Cheney if he can here, because Young is clearly quicker. We saw him get past earlier, and you're not going to manage that around this circuit unless you are properly quicker. So it's just a case of managing it now, and that's going to be especially difficult when you're in the same manufacturer as the driver ahead of you. 4 Porsches inside the top 7, and here's half of them in this battle for 6th place. And towards turn 1, he's nowhere near close enough this time around. Quentin Price might be close enough to Bont to manage it in towards turn number 1. As they go over the line about 2 tenths apart. Is he going to dive Price into turn 1? No, he can't get through either. So it shows you just how close you need to be. Price was only 2 tenths behind Bont there and still wasn't close enough.
No, just couldn't get the job done, unfortunately for Quentin Price. He's going to have to try and go again as these guys continue this battle through the Mercedes arena. Now into the right-hander. This track, if you're not on it with the flow of the circuit, if you're not down with the way you've got this circuit going, you are going to really struggle. There's so much to this circuit that you've just got to make sure that you're on it constantly. And at the moment, Quentin Price just dropping back away from Bont. Bont opening up about a half set. Well, no, because he's just gone on, well, as I say that, chuffed up forward curve, but now Quentin Price has got back down to 4 tenths.
Yeah, it's very, very close between those two. And I think Price is quicker, to be honest. Saw him follow Lovings past Hillerick, and they're clearly both quicker than Hillerick, but I think Price is probably quicker than Bont as well. But they're quite evenly matched, and that does mean that it can be difficult to get alongside when you are the driver behind like this in a evenly matched battle. And perhaps more than any other circuit that you've seen so far this season, maybe even more than Belle Isle last week. Pitting and the timing of your stop is so crucial around this circuit. There's almost a sense in the first half of this race of actually saving fuel behind the driver in front, although it's quite hard to do that around this circuit because you pick up so little slipstream from the driver in front. It's almost a case of maybe let's try and do something on pit strategy here, especially for a person like Price, who could get in quite a lot of clean air if he pits looking at the track map there at the moment, unlike some of the pro guys who would end up in this sort of traffic. But let's see if he can do it the old-fashioned way first, as Bont defends on the way towards turn 1. Then he pulls back to the racing line. Price says, I'm going to come through. No, he can't though. And Bont keeps his 15th place again. And you wonder now how long this is going to go on for Quentin Price.
Yeah, he's got to make a decision, isn't he? He's at that point now where he either stays there and just keeps following, or he makes the move, tries to get past, or dives in the pit lane. I don't really know for Quentin Price what he's got to be able to do, but he's got to do something, because at the moment following Cody Bont is just not helpful whatsoever. So for Quintet Price, it's kind of make a move, son, or do something outside of the box.
Yep, he's in that window though with 40 minutes to go. We're starting to get to that place already where you can actually pit and make it to the finish of the race. So let's see if he does. Let's see as they come round the hairpin. Just seeing that bit of a gap open. That's the sort of stuff you can't really afford to let happen here in one of these groups. You can't afford to let even a small gap open like that just up in front of you. And not least because Hilleric's right there, but just means you're nowhere near close enough to really make a move here. And it's going to be more frustrating for Price. Hansen, meantime, gets close to Claudio for second place in the Pro-Ams, and this is only helping Bradley Tidwell at the moment, who leads by 1.6 seconds. Hansen putting the pressure on the Corvette, and that's only going to allow the leading gap to extend.
Yeah, that's the thing. The more they fight, the more they're going to, as you say, allow the people in front to escape up the road. And Tidwell at the moment just seems kind of unstoppable in that Pro-Am lead. He's done a great job so far. Unlucky last time out, of course, where he had PC crashed on him. Well, he was fighting up the lead of the race, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Tidwell not had the most amount of luck, but at the moment he's quite comfortable out in front in that Pro-Ams. However, Tim Probert has got Brian Faluna tucked in right behind him again.
Absolutely. Faluna's again. Oh, and looking. Wow, that was quite aggressive, quite quick. But you need to do this, strike quickly when you catch up like that. And that could have been the glorious moment for Faluna there, where he just got straight up to the back of a driver in front and said, thanks very much, I'm going down the inside and taking second place back. It's going to be very difficult for Faluna to win from here, even though he's only 2 seconds off the lead because of making 2 passes and the amount of catching you'd have to do as well over a driver. Don't forget Ryan Merriam, who out-qualified you in the qualifying session. That could prove to be very difficult for Brian Faluna, but so far he's not even done the first part of this job. Getting past Tim Probert is going to be the first part here, and it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it is. Tim Probert, well, it's not an easy fish to pass, you know. He's not just going to roll over and let him go through without a fight, I can tell you that much. And at the moment, Faluna's got to work hard at it. He's either got to pass. It's the same scenario as Price, really. But Faluna, he's got to either make the move or do something outside of the box, because Probert at the moment, holding on to that position, it's almost that we've got the same thing going on further down with Hayden Young and Jeremy Cheney, with Hansen and Claudio, Tom Bryce and Bradley Lovins. I think they're running practically near enough nose to tail at the moment. So everybody's now in this part where they've all got to make a choice, do something outside of the box, try something different and see what it brings you, because, you know, you might get fruits of the labour if you do something different.
In the background, Price again close to Bont, certainly closer than Bryce is here to Lovings, who's continuing his run through the field. But look at the defence from Bont again. He's weaving on the front straight again here. Price, oh, not close enough again. This is going to be very frustrating now, and it does look as well, even worse news for Price, that Porsche looks a bit better on the brakes, I've got to say, down in towards turn number 1. And that, when that's the big overtaking chance, you don't want to be worse on the brakes as a manufacturer. Then you really feel like there's not much you can do at all.
No, and the thing is, this track will probably almost suit the Porsche down to the ground, because he hasn't got to worry about too much top end, because there's not a lot of top end. We know the Porsche don't have that. Young and Cheney have just swapped places. So this will suit the Porsche to a degree. That's why we've got Merriam out in front and Probert in second, with Faluna in third in the Porsche. You can see it's a Porsche top, what's that, 4 cars in the top 7 from the Porsche, partly because it hasn't got to go fast almost. It's got to rely on its downforce. It's got to rely on its cornering pace, and that's what it's doing at the moment.
Holding track position is what this car's pretty good at a circuit like this anyway. And maybe not necessarily at a more straight line speed oriented circuit, but certainly this one, as Price again gets close on the way down here. Hanault's got off in front. Oh no, oh, well, there he is. Wow. I didn't spot him there till very late, and I don't think Bont did either. Spin clearly through turn 11 there from him, and yeah, he drops right the way back.
Yeah, unfortunately not good for him, but Young and Cheney still going at each other, coming down into turn 1. Hayden Young managing to hold on to that position. You saw the movements with Genie, seen the movements behind as well. Tidwell, Claudio and Hansen, they are getting closer to Tidwell, so he's going to have to try and get on his bike just a little bit here, because his early pace has kind of gone out the window compared to what he was last time, as there's a Porsche on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's Marcinek again in 26th place. Unfortunately, he is stopped to your right, by the way. He hasn't been in the pit lane, didn't start from there either. So not sure what he is doing at the moment, but he is another lap down now. He's 2 down on the leaders. Brett Basil also is out of this race, unfortunately for him, so a couple of retirements a little bit further down the field. Not sure what happened to Basil. Again, we'll see a bit later on, but 20 minutes gone of this race at the Nurburg Ring. 35 still to go. And Tidwell still leads in the Pro-Am class ahead of Claudio and Hansen, who are queued up right behind him. 3 different manufacturers. The closest race for the class lead in any of our classes, although it is close in the other 2 as well, of course.
Yeah, you can see the scenario that's taking shape here. Tidwell's escaped up the road, then he's got him brought back in from Claudio. He's bringing along Hansen. Ollinger's leading the way in the AMs. He's got 8 tenths to the car in front, which is Reese. He's got 1.2 to Sawyer. And obviously Merriam leading the pros with 1.2 over Probert. So there's still lots more things to come out of this, I feel. And this track is definitely going to lend itself to the action I think we're going to get. But it's just how late on are we going to get this action, and whether or not it's going to be, well, is it going to be within the next 15 minutes or will it be after pit stops?
Well, absolutely. And when are those pit stops going to start? You'd imagine very soon, as Hillerick now gets past Price. That's the worst news possible for Quentin Price, because he'd spent so long trying to get past Bont that, again, he couldn't get through, and now he's been overtaken. Here he is. He needs to strike back immediately here, but the Mercedes has got a better run onto the front straight now, and Quentin Price is possibly in for even more minutes of misery now in this race. That is a real shame for him. Down towards turn number 1, he is well, really struggling to make overtakes in this race, and now being overtaken as well is just salt in the wound there.
Yeah, it's almost like a quick kick in the teeth for Quentin Price, isn't it? He was going forward at one point, is now unfortunately going backwards again, and has lost a place between Hillerick and Bont here as well, so he goes further down in class, unfortunately for Quentin Price. He's going to have to try and find a way to try and go forward. He's got to try and resemble pace as they're running side by side, and Price does go through on Hillerick this time. Yep.
So he had to do that quickly. He couldn't let Hillerick get comfortable with that position there in 15th place. Price had to strike back, and he did, so he moves up and he'll look to put that behind him now. Again, for the lead in Pro-Am, it is still close between Tidwell, Claudio and Hansen, but are they realistically going to race each other before the pit stops? Well, they're going to try to, but how close to side by side are they going to get? Hansen is seemingly getting quicker as they go along here, and Claudio is, well, not on the defensive too much yet, but he is stuck in the middle here of wanting to look for a way through ahead, but also needing to keep an eye on defence as well.
Yeah, and the man in the middle is always going to be difficult, isn't it, when you've got to look forward and defend at the same time. It's never the most easiest thing at all to do, because you're kind of stuck. You either concentrate on going forward and use that extra mirror you've got down next to where the dashboard is and see what Price is up to, or sorry, what Hansen is up to, or completely ignore it and just go forward and say, okay, well, if I turn in and he's there, then obviously I've made a mistake, or if my spotter hasn't told me he's there, well, I'm going to blame the spotter.
Yeah, that's always a go-to. Claudio again is just close, but at the moment not close enough. That's a better line through 3. You do want to hook your left-hand side tyres there. Oh, and he's hit the back of Tidwell, and he spins! He's tried so hard to get past Tidwell, he's hit the back of him there, and he's gone around into a spin. He drops out the top 10, and Bradley Lovings goes through into 11th place, as well as Hansen and Dospace, who move on to the podium places.
Yeah, moves up Lovings there, up 11 places, Dospace and Hansen. Top 3, Tidwell, well, survives, literally. He's got about another 1.2 seconds. Now the question is going to be, can Hansen do this on his own? Can he close into Tidwell, or does he need help like he had from Claudio? Has Dospace got the pace to pull him forward. Now, one of the people that has got the pace to come forward are these three. They're closing the gap and got closer and closer together.
They have. It's Probert doing most of the closing here in the second place behind Merriam, and Luna's being brought with him as well, so I'm unsure as to whether this is Probert getting quicker or what's going on here in terms of manufacturers as well, but very interesting that Merriam is suddenly being reeled in now by Probert behind and Luna as well, but it's one thing is clear, that it's these three who will fight it out for the win here. One of the three will probably win unless something very dramatic happens. The 8.5 second gap down to Ben Roy there in fourth place says that these three are the quickest in this race by some margin.
Yeah, I think Ben Roy just might be struggling here. That's the problem. And then, unfortunately, just doesn't quite get it hooked up for David Ben Roy in that Acura. But Merriam slowly starting to escape out forward again once more. We have Probert and Faluna. But Merriam opening up 1.1 seconds. That early sector of the race through the Mercedes arena, through Valvoline and through Ford. Merriam seems quite comfortable. It's whether or not he's going to get that over the next part of the race, over the next sectors of the race, I should say, is whether or not he's going to have the issue. But we're going to find out how he's going to get on here for Ryan Merriam, as Probert stuck in there as well. You can see Merriam quicker in 1, Probert quicker in 2.
That's the ebb and flow of a circuit like this with two different manufacturers. In fact, Probert seems to be not having his best lap, to be honest. Last time round did a 53.5. That was exactly on pace with Merriam, and only a few tenths back from his best of the race so far. Faluna's got the fastest lap, a 53.0. Not sure whether we're going to get a 52 in this race, because they don't tend to change tyres halfway through, but either way, Faluna is with that fastest lap at the moment. Oh dear, Marcinek on the apex there of the final turn. Not sure what he's doing really, Marcinek. He's 3 laps down now in the race, and trying his best to stay out of everybody's way, but it's a bit of an obstacle for everybody else at the moment.
That's the thing, park out. Like, I don't mean that rudely, but you're either really not on the pace, you're really just causing dramas for somebody, or you've done 0 practice and you're still out, you know, in that way. It's like, if he was going for a racing license, he clearly wouldn't be given it, because of the fact he's just not there. I just don't get this. Like, I understand driving around and trying to, you know, at least stay remotely on the laps or try and do something, but, you know, when your lap time's 2:11 or 2:21 for your last one, and everybody else is in the 150s, 158s, you know, either we've not practiced, or we need to look and say, are we really on the pace here?
It's the best lap, yeah, that you're looking at, 2:11 at the moment. Yeah, it's why the 107% rule, for example, in F1 is introduced. Although, having said that, it's not enforced anymore. Really, sort of a dinosaur rule that still exists, but doesn't really get enforced anymore. But yeah, maybe that is worth a discussion. But anyway, Julian Race on the defence here for 17th place, and bad position for Heath Hollinger to be in. He's in the lead of the AM, so that's not bad. But being stuck behind somebody when you're the leader there is not ideal, particularly with Sawyer quite so close behind, as Probert now gets very close for the lead. We're over halfway in this race, by the way, and Probert's getting very close to Ryan Merriam.
Yeah, he is. He's literally got the gap down to about 2.5 tenths at the moment for Probert. So he's had a great couple of laps at this moment in time as well. He's really gone and pulled the lap times out on, you can see Merriam there, only quicker on 12. Look, wow, 3, 4, 5, what's that, a second and a bit over the last 4 or 5 laps? Wow, Ryan Merriam losing chunks of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, not sure why this is really happening at the moment, which is puzzling me a little bit. It's not a Porsche thing, clearly, because Faluna's catching him as well. So what is going on here? It's a mystery to me at the moment. He's going to keep out on the circuit, though, until effectively he's forced to pit by Robert and Faluna doing something on strategy. But those two behind have kind of got to wait for some of the midfield to come in, because if they pit now, they'll just end up stuck in even slower traffic. So they might as well stay out with the leaders for the moment, but you'd imagine they'll try and do something different when it gets really quite down to it towards the end of this first stint.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure what anybody's going to be able to do. As Dos Faces dived in, Pernell Hanault's dived in. They're in pit lane. Marcinek is finally in pit lane as well. Not quite sure even what happened right at the beginning. He just all of a sudden was there and he was already a lap down, which was a little bit bizarre. But Probert at the moment closing on Ryan Merriam, putting Merriam under pressure here. Merriam's now just got a choice. What do? You defend? Do you hold him up? Do you stay there as long as possible? What's the situation for Ryan Merriam?
Well, he's going for it at the chicane, is he? Not quite. Probert there stuck his nose down the inside, but Merriam took a gamble that he wasn't going to stick his nose down the inside there, and he was right to as well in the end. It's a dangerous place to go side by side in any case, so you can understand why he would take that gamble, but it was close as they now come down the front straight. Probert's close again here. That McLaren's stronger in a straight line, as we know, and the Porsche are better on the brakes, so let's see on the way towards turn one. Doesn't matter how Probert gets closer, he's still not going to be beaten on the brakes there, Merriam, and he keeps the lead again. Yeah,
that Porsche strong. The Porsche is strong for Probert. He's going to have to work him as much as he can. He might have to throw an old Nigel Mansell fashion dummy at him or do something to try and put him off his game here. But again, it's the same scenario for Ryan Merriam. Are you looking more in your mirror, or are you concentrating on hitting your lines? If you're concentrating on hitting your lines, he's got to make sure that he can do it. And he's just seen, and you know, he's got to kind of go for it. Oh, big snap for Tim Probert there. Big snap for Tim Probert. And now he's going to have to try and go again in through the final Dunlop curve before he goes round. And at the moment, Probert closing in on Ryan Merriam, but just got a big old snap through the left hand. They come up through Schumacher now. Probert again closing in once more. Is he going to be able to get close coming out the exit? No. Ryan Merriam gets a better exit here. 23 minutes to go. And at the moment, it is Ryan Merriam, Tim Probert providing the action. Once more, Probert in that McLaren, Merriam in the Porsche. Welcome in if you are here in YouTube chat. This is an after effect, of course. Replays will be looked at all at the end of the broadcast. But at the moment, Ryan Merriam holding on for dear life. Tim Probert through the left, through the right. Is he going to try and get up the inside? At the moment he is. He dives up the inside, coming into the final corner. Tim Probert, Ryan Merriam side by side. Merriam coming out of the corner now. Now down the start-finish straight, it's going to be a straight run. I expect that McLaren to have pace here over the Porsche. No, Ryan Merriam holds on to it. Going into turn number one. Great job from Ryan Merriam. Probert on the inside, takes a dive in one. Is he going to be able to make it through? Merriam again trying to hold that line. Through Mercedes Arena they go. There's back markers not too far up the road either. Landon Abbott is up the road, and he's going to be going again here for Tim Probert. This has been a great battle, Mr. O'Leary. Probert and Ryan Merriam swapping places a couple of times, but Ryan Merriam coming out on top.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe this might even be a manufacturer thing, because look at the way Faluna's further behind at 3 seconds. This is getting difficult now and desperate for the Porsche. 55.3 last time round for Faluna. Very slow. There's nobody slower in the top 9, so that's very telling at the moment where this race is. Tim Probert is all over the back of Merriam, and he seems defenceless at the moment, the race leader, although so far putting up a good fight. Still pit stops happening in the midfield with Jeremy Cheney and Tom Bright. This might be opening out the window now that Merriam needs to, that Probert needs to pit in and undercut the current race leader.
Yeah, I think he's got to use it as best as he can here for Tim Probert. I'll tell you what, he's done a great job closing that gap up. Merriam has lost a chunk of time. We said it was about 1.2, 1.3 seconds over the last 6-7 laps, and it hasn't really dissipated that Probert isn't closing in. He's still continuing to close in here as well. You can see again another 2 attempts on lap 16. And at the moment, Tim Probert on a bit of a march here. Ryan Merriam's got his work cut out.
Absolutely has, and there's lap traffic to contend with now as well. It gets even more complicated as into the pit lane, in fairness, comes Abbott, so that's helpful. But ahead, there are some AM drivers who will be coming out just in front. Vesta has just come out in front, for example. So for Luna, meantime, into the pit lane. 20 minutes, just more than 20 minutes to go in this race. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when Probert actually decides to stop from here, with Faluna now taking that plunge. He'll probably keep an eye on Faluna. Where is he going to come out? And position yourself 3 seconds in front of that. Would that get me into clear air or lap traffic, yes or no? And that will be the conversation. But there are some gaps to find yourself in if you do this right.
Yeah, definitely. But the question at the moment is, where are the gaps going to be? Because if they go in now, you're looking at 43 seconds lost in pit lane altogether. That's going to put them kind of in the mix of things, I think. They're not really, they might be able to get a gap between 3, 4, 5 before they hit 6th place, but in the Pro-Ams, but it's going to be very difficult to find a suitable space.
If you look 3 seconds in front of Faluna, you can see that would just be in front of Claudio if your pit stop's good, and that would be a nice bit of clean air. So if I was Probert now, I would be in at the end of this lap. Faluna has shown the way that it is possible to get yourself into clean air, and who knows, some of the others around that margin might actually come in with you on this lap 19. You don't know what their strategy is going to be, but we'll see whether Probert decides to do that or whether he's going to wait this one out a little bit longer and just forget about that and do the fuel saving one, take a shorter pit stop maybe by pitting on the same lap as Merriam. Let's see if that's the case here. Is he staying to the right? No, he is not coming in. So Faluna is going to be out there on his own for the moment, and I guess the problem is that these guys are quicker than those who haven't stopped yet, and so that could become a problem later. And in any case, Probert might get through anyway. Look at this as he gets over the start finish line. Merriam not defending, Probert looking to the inside again. He's not close enough.
Don't know if Merriam knew he wasn't going to go for it then, because he didn't defend at all. He didn't put nothing there. There was no defense at all from Ryan Merriam. So I wonder whether or not he knows he's not going to go for it. I don't really know.
He seemed to have confidence, but yeah, I would have been a bit more nervous, to be honest, with Probert so close behind. But anyway, Sierra and Hansen both come into the pit lane meantime, so that's creating some more gaps here for Probert to go into. That's an even bigger gap now. You can see why they're nervous though. Faluna's already caught up to Claudio, and now if this goes on for a few laps, Faluna's actually going to lose more time than he's gained by pitting early, and that's the grave danger of pitting early. So that's why these two are playing it safe, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think they're going to go until they literally cannot go anymore. Gardner's in, Hoskins in, Hansen's in as well. I think they're just waiting for a big enough gap to, once people have started diving in. You can see 6th place in the pros at the moment is Lovins. He's on the track. You might be able to get out if you wait for him to go in and see where he comes from. But at the moment, these guys are just trying to find gaps. They're trying to find space. They're waiting for people to go into the pits, and they're going to see what they've got left after it.
And through the kink towards the final chicane. Again, Probert not close enough through here, and that's where the final chicane, being a big stop, might have been a little bit better. Oh, Merriam's in and Probert's in as well. It looks like they have gone until they can't anymore, and this is the moment where they come to an end. 17 minutes to go. Merriam and Probert are in. Now, what are the pit stop times going to be, and who's going to get out first?
Well, that's where we're going to find out, isn't it? To be blatantly honest, they're going to come out together. Where is Faluna going to be in all of this? What have they done to the gap to Faluna? Have they managed the gap to Faluna? Have they been able to do it? I don't think either of these are going to go up on the jacks. I would be very surprised if they did. Nope. Where is Faluna at this moment in time? That's going to be the question for us here. He's on his way around the final corner. Merriam's still in pit lane.
Oh, it's close.
Now. Probert's got him.
Through. Yep. It's a shorter pit stop. He's been planning that for lap after lap, and he's finally through. Probert ahead of Merriam, and Faluna nowhere near them. His last lap time was a 54.1, which is a little bit better than what he was doing before the pit stops, but nevertheless, Probert leads this race, and unless Merriam can find a second wind here in the final 16 minutes, it's going to be Probert's to the end now, you would imagine.
Yeah, Probert's just got to try and stay there now. I think that's the problem. What's the situation going to be with Merriam? Is he going to have the pace to keep up with Probert? Is he not going to have the pace? Doesn't look like he's too far off it here, though. That's the question. I think Merriam might still have this situation where he could put Probert under pressure.
Final pit stop's happening. It'll be Hayden Young, the only one left to stop, along with Nicholas Marshall as well, who in fairness hasn't actually completed this lap yet, so he might well come in right now from the back end of the field. But Hayden Young will certainly be in at the front. We'll see where he comes out as well, probably knocking on the door of a top 5. He'll hope to be ahead of Cheney at least. In the Pro-Ams, Tidwell and Hansen are just as close as they were before. Dus Vase has lost quite a lot of time though through the pit stop phase here. His pit stop was fine, so it must have been some other sort of pro. Of course, he had that spin, didn't he? Who is missing then? Is it? I guess it is just Dus Vase, isn't it? Missing from this group.
Yeah, it was another one
Hansen
that was
and
in the
Tidwell
group.
are as close as they were before.
Yeah, Claudio was also in the group, wasn't he, as well, but had that drama. And now Tidwell and Hansen are left to fight it out for the Pro-Am lead there. In the AMs, it's still Ollinger, still leading the way with JT tucked in behind him, who's got Bryce tucked up right behind him in the Corvette. So a nice little Corvette McLaren battle out on the racetrack at this moment in time as well. Young's in pit lane, that's going to free up Probert, Merriam, Luna, Ben Roy as well. Is he going to be in front of Javier Sierra? But Hayden Young, he's on his way out. He might have just... Oh, Jesus. No, he hasn't got that with Ben Roy.
How's he up there anyway? I mean, Sierra should be ahead of him, really. His stop was a second or so quicker though for Young, and he's clearly gone very quickly on his in laps as well. The fact that he was even anywhere close to Ben Roy is impressive in itself. So yeah, Hayden Young has strategized himself very, very much ahead here. I thought he was still near Cheney. He'd not long overtaken Jeremy Cheney again, and well, to jump Sierra, a very good job indeed from him. As Merriam gets close to Probert again. I just feel he's got to do this quickly, Merriam, because if his low fuel pace is similar to what it is in the first stint, then Probert's going to have him for breakfast in the final minutes here.
Yeah, I think that's the situation. It's got to be for Young. It's the same for all the others as well. You know, we've watched it all the way through, haven't we? And Merriam's got to get him, and he's got to get him quick. Same for Hansen and Tidwell, Hillerick, Bond, Gardner, Hoskins, they're all in the same scenario now with about 30 minutes to go. Any overtakes that's going to get done, they need to get done quickly.
Yeah, they do. Hansen and Tidwell are also close, and Lovings could be a spanner in the works there between those two, because he'll be looking for 8th place, and that'll probably be his maximum from today, although having said that, Cheney's not that much further up the road, but another 8th place finish would be good news for Bradley Lovings in his championship. It will be his 5th top 10 in 5, which is good news considering some of the bad starting positions he's had over the course of some of these rounds. But Hansen's going to be pretty resistant to letting him past, and then Tidwell's going to want to keep that car buffer between himself and Hansen if that pass does ever happen for 9th. So this could be very awkward now between these guys in different classes.
Yeah, but I don't think Hansen's in a position to allow Lovins through. I think Lovins has got to sit back and realise that, Hansen's just gone and got that last corner wrong.
Well, yeah, I think he got it wrong. Maybe he was letting him through, but it'd be weird if he was letting him through. So he must have just got it wrong. And yeah, now he's got to use Lovins to his advantage. Get right in behind him, try and follow him through.
That's exactly what I would do. Exactly what I would do. Not that, you know, I would ever be in a position to follow Bradley Lovins anyway. I haven't got the pace. I'm slow as anything. But for Hansen, I would definitely realise and sit back and think, okay, well, he's got through now. It's my turn to try and follow him and see if he can put Bradley Tidwell under pressure as well.
And a spin! Hansen spins out of turn 5, and that's going to be that in the Pro-Ams. Adam Hansen pushing hard to try and follow Lovings through, as we were talking about just then. He spun out of turn 5, and that is that. He will finish not in the lead, I'm afraid, here in the Pro-Ams as things stand after that spin through turn 5. Not the first time we've seen it through there. It does happen, but that's a very, very costly one in the lead of the Pro-Ams.
Yeah, gutted. Hansen was driving so well, dude. So well in the BMW. Was the leading BMW as well. He's now behind Lovins. He's still sitting in 10th place, so mind you, with Claudio in front of Claudio and Dos Face, but gutted, absolutely gutted for Hansen, who I believe is in YouTube chat. Has just put, "You guys jinxed me."
We do that from beyond when it's happened.
I don't really know. Can we really be blamed for that after? You know?
Yeah, I don't think we can do it in real time either, just to put the record clear. So there you go. But yeah, that was certainly a coincidence lining up there. Unfortunate for him, but there you go. It's something we get accused of very often, and no doubt will be the last time. Probert and no, that won't be the last time, I should say. Probert and Merriam, with 10 minutes to go, still close-ish. You just get the feeling this is going the wrong way for Merriam now. Somebody's brought a load of gravel onto the circuit through turn 7. That was nice of them. Not a thing we've actually seen very much of tonight, thankfully. The gravel and the stones in iRacing these days are normally littering the tarmac, as if everywhere's a gravel trap. But not so far in this race, which is a relief to everybody.
Yeah, it definitely is. Bont is back in pit lane.
Weird. A two-stop league.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems a bit strange, that one. Cody Bont. Not quite sure why he did that. But now it's still Probert, Merriam, Lovins and Tidwell. Claudio and Dos Face still mixing it up here at the same time. So yeah, a couple of battles that we'll keep an eye on. But at the moment, it's Tidwell and Lovins the ones to talk about currently. Is Tidwell really going to hold him up? Or is he going to let him go?
I think it would be smart for Tidwell to let him go now. I mean, these two know each other well as well. They might fight it out for a bit of fun because there's so much space behind them. But if Lovins is taking this seriously, he will want to get past as quickly as possible because that Porsche in front is a position. And maybe Tidwell can use that even to his advantage because he's catching Cheney as well. He wants to overtake the pro driver for 7th place, or what will become 8th place if Lovins gets past him. And he kind of needs to let Lovins through and get him behind him here. Let's wait and see what he decides to do, though. He's not going to do it through there because that would cost him so much time. But what about on the front straight here in towards turn number 1? Is Tidwell going to let his mate in, or is he going to stay in front of Lovins here? Looks like he'll stay stubbornly in front, but he's doing the work at the moment of bringing Cheney back himself. 3 attempts quicker that time round.
Yeah. Cheney's, you can just see go past the picture up front as well. And keeping an eye on the guys up the sharp end. He's put, yes, you can. Great broadcast. Thanks for what you do. So apparently we can jinx him.
Well, certainly, you would believe so if you'd spun exactly after we'd said whatever and you're watching yourself spin or whatever. But yeah, I'm still going to say it. It's not a thing. Claudio and Hillarick are now in as well. What is going on?
I think some people may have misjudged fuel here.
Oh, I think you're right on Claudio, by the way. He pitted for only 10 seconds before. That's way shorter than anybody else.
Yeah, I think there was a plan to try and undercut and lower fuel, but unfortunately it hasn't quite worked out for either of these guys. So yeah, they're going to have to suck it up and come out wherever they come out, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's further down the field, behind most of the AMs actually, led by Heath Ollinger. Oh dear, as Tidwell has some connection problems on his replay. It looks like it is his replay. Yep, it definitely is, because everybody else is blinking apart from him. So that could be fun later on. But yeah, Heath Ollinger leading the way, and certainly looking good for the moment in terms of a championship extending day with John Gardner 2 positions behind him. He could double his advantage at the front, could Ollinger, if it were to end right now, this race, towards the final chicane meantime for these two. Tidwell hasn't made any inroads to Cheney this time, so if Lovins wants to do all this in one go, then he's going to have to get past now and use the last 6.5 minutes to close on Cheney, but even that, I think, is looking a pretty full-on hope now. I think these two are just going to race each other for a bit of fun.
Yeah, why not go for it? Tidwell's got pace, though. I think he definitely should. Definitely have a go with him. Get your elbows out, start, you know, putting in your good old fight, because I think Tidwell can fight Lovins, and I think he's got the opportunity to here.
Oh, look there, down the inside, and he goes on the defensive. The first lookings of a scrap here. I think there's not enough time left in the racing with 4 laps left here to catch Cheney for either of them now, so they might as well, with a big gap behind to Adam Hansen, who still looks on course for second in the Pro-Am class. 4 laps to go, by the way, including the one that they've just begun, and the battle is only just really beginning between these two.
Yeah, definitely, and they've still got 5 minutes left on the clock. That battle up front has kind of gone the wrong way. David Van Roy has got Hayden Young closing in, right behind him at the moment. So about half a second back. So Hayden Young and David Van Roy fighting for the 4th spot here. Who's going to be able to do this? Faluna's looking very, very comfortable. He's kind of driving around a little bit on his Todd at the moment because the others are not even in the picture. He's got, what's he, 5, 6 seconds in front, 9 seconds behind. It's going to be here with Hayden Young and Faluna, Hayden Young and Ben Roy. They continue to fight it out.
I'd love to know what happens to this Porsche on low fuel, by the way. It seems to completely fall apart. And Merriam again is losing loads of time to Probert. So I'm amazed how Hayden Young's doing this, because Faluna also seems to drop back as well. It's always on the lower fuel. It's not tyre wear, because they're using the same tyres they were in the first stint, and so it would have been an issue for the whole of this stint. But as soon as that Porsche had more fuel on board, it seemed to be going quicker again. But now Merriam is unable to stay with Probert, and Faluna's way back now.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it, really.
No, it just kind of
GT3.
it's just dived off, hasn't it, I think, for these guys at the moment. Seems a little bit weird, but I'm not quite sure why he did that.
Lovings has got alongside Tidwell in the first sector here, so the battle properly begins now. He's on the outside. He got the inside for 1. Now he's on the outside for 2 and 3. Still alongside, and Tidwell gives him an age of room. Look at that. Not sure what it is about these guys through turn 4 and 5, but give each other so much room, and that has allowed Lovings into 8th place, so he does get through on Tidwell, who will be able to console himself with the Pro-Am win, of course.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really matter the position he's in behind Lovins. No, it makes no difference whatsoever. So for him, he's still taking the win in the Pro-Am, still getting more points, but Hansen is still there. He's only second back, of course, in the Pro-Ams as well. So yeah, he's getting points, but not massive amounts.
And Roy is doing enough right now to just keep away Hayden Young as they get onto the penultimate lap of the race. Probert crosses the line there to signal 2 laps to go with just over 3 minutes left. This race will end up being 29 laps in length. And it's much needed for Probert after last week at Belle Isle, where he finished outside the top 20. Of course, a drop round through, you can have 1 drop round in the first 6 races and 1 drop round from the second 6. So that's going to save him in some sense, because Probert's other finishes are 1st, 3rd and 4th, and now 1st if he holds on to this victory as well. So that race last week is, he can put it behind him, and if he has a good week at Zolder on Sunday, then he can go out of the first 6 races knowing that I only had 1 bad round, the others were very solid. That's what you need in the OGRL Championship. You don't need all 6 to be good, but it does put some pressure on you if you have a bad round early in a 6-race block, as it were.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that over these scenarios you do score points. That's the most important thing, and the only way they're going to be able to do that is obviously keep the car on the racetrack, and which is what they've managed to do. But it's just, you know, that's what they kind of have to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Do you get what I mean? They want to score points. You have to score points. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just same in any championship, isn't it? I'm just trying to work out what the other drop weeks would mean for the others. That's why I was a bit quiet. Faluna's worst result so far is only 8th place. That's not going to be too damaging for him. And Roy's worst is only 6th. It's very strong. That's the strongest of anyone, actually. Lovings will have his worst result as this one, I think. But even that's pretty good as well. So, you know, all of the guys at the front, we've got big names at the front. Faluna, Venroy, Lovings, Young, Probert, the 5 of them. And Merriam's missed a round, so he's a long way back in the points. But, you know, he won't be that far behind when it is applied after 6 rounds as well, after Zolder. You know, these are guys who are, you know, 6 big drivers at the front, all pretty similar on speed, really. When you even it out across different circuits, maybe not today, but if you even it out across different circuits, all 6 of them very close on speed. And yeah, all looking very close as far as this championship is concerned as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. The championship's always going to come down to the wire, and that's due to the fact that obviously the point system that we've talked about it kind of will never allow somebody to run further and further away. That's the problem. You're never going to have 50-point gaps, 60-point gaps here. So I think overall it's great, but Venroy and Young, no, Young's made a mistake. I think Young has just made a mistake. Yeah, you made a mistake and dropped down behind Javier Sierra now.
I think he was side by side with Venroy at a stage, so I wonder whether there might have been contact between the two. Again, we'll find out at the end here as we finish up this broadcast, but Sierra will take that extra point and that top 5 finish as well. It looks like at the end of today, so far going into today, Sierra hadn't finished inside the top 5. Bessedow was last week with a 7th place finish at Belle Isle, so this will be the best so far. But for Tim Probert, it's going to be just another victory in the OGRL Coffee Cup. Maybe not so many this season. He won the opening round of the season, but not since then. He had big success in Season 3, of course, where we had the LMP2s to deal with as well. Now that he's got all of the names alongside him, he's showing that he is still one of the best. As he comes around the final corner now, Tim Probert is going to win here at the Nurburg Ring. That McLaren Imperious at this venue beats out the Porsches, and he wins for the 2nd time in Season 4 of the OGRL Coffee Cup, ahead of Merriam and Faluna. Further behind, Brad Tidwell's going to come home to a comfortable victory in the Pro-Ams. But further behind that, Heath Ollinger is coming under some late pressure from Jim Sawyer. We haven't seen much of the AMs all day, but they've got nearly a lap to go, and it's going to feel like a very long lap for Heath Ollinger.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're there as well. You see the white flag, and you realise that actually JT's not too far back, which you're going to sit there and think, oh man, I really wish this was the final lap, and it clearly is not. And you know, they've got to go again. That's the situation. I think for Ollinger, he would have wished the last lap was the final lap.
That's not a car on the lead lap, by the way. That is Abbott, who's in his first race in Season 4 of the OGRL Coffee Cup, and he's really holding up Ollinger here. Look at the exit there from Sawyer. This could be a grandstand finish between the AM drivers. Ollinger's going to be really wanting that Mustang out the way now, but it's not going to. Into the chicane. He looks left and right. Inside line for Sawyer, he's not going to go for it here. Again, the faster chicane, just decreasing the chances for him. Ollinger just needs to defend this final corner, it looks like, and he will do. The Mustang parked up in front. He survives a late onslaught. It's going to be the run to the line almost. Less than 2 attempts. He chases across the road. He just about finishes in front. Goodness me. Just a 10th and 3/4 in front of Sawyer. That is one of the closer finishes you're likely to see this season.
Yeah, I can guarantee there's going to be questions asked of some people here, because Abbott really kind of probably should have been out of the way. You saw them coming. You don't want to get yourself involved, and unfortunately it felt easier to get involved when you probably didn't need to. So for me, I think there's going to be some questions asked of some of the newer drivers that have come into this league as well.
Yeah, well, we'll of course see those in future days, but anyway, Tim Probert wins the race overall ahead of Ryan Merriam and Brian Faluna on the podium. David Venroy and Javier Sierra end up in the top 5 after Hayden Young's late spin. Jeremy Cheney finishes 7th ahead of Bradley Lovings, with Brad Tidwell, the Pro-Am winner, ahead of Adam Hansen rounding out the top 10. Justin Dos Face was the first driver over a minute off the win, with Quentin Price, Perno Hanno next, also Pro-Am drivers. Heath Ollinger wins in the AMs in 14th in the end ahead of Jim Sawyer, with John Gardner in 16th, falling further behind Ollinger in the championship, but not very far behind. Brian Hoskins and Michael Vester were next ahead of Tom Bryson, Cody Bont, who rounded out the top 20. Alexander Claudio did get on the lead lap by the end. 1 lap down for Hillerick, Race, Marshall and Abbott. Marcinek was 8 laps down after retiring quite late on. Basil and Bailey retired very early on in today's race, but got a very decent percentage of the field right to the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing here as well. We definitely did. I'm just going to have a look at a couple of things. Will Bailey and what his problem was right at the beginning. Oh, big snap of that. Oh, no.
Oh! Well, that's why we didn't see any damage, because it popped back on the nose there, but that car had a lot of damage, we can be assured of that.
Yeah, I want to find out how Luna ended up going off the racetrack.
This must be how he lost. Oh, he lost out to probate. He's going to get on the power too soon out of turn 7 and run straight into the gravel.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about too much of that. This one sent Basil back to pit lane as well.
So, this is the second of the 2 retirements. That oh, that's pretty annoying for him. Who's that in the accurate? I don't think anybody. And he just retires as a point of moral feeling there. It was either Marshall or Hannell. I don't know who it was.
Well, this is Hannell.
And there's Hannell going for a spin. So it must have been Marshall, because it wasn't Van Roy, was it?
No, I don't believe it was Van Roy. But that's how Hannell lost a load of positions. Now, this is one of the positions changes we missed. This was Hilleric's pass on Quinton Price.
Yeah. Price just dipped a wheel in the gravel there. You saw the dust still floating around in the background. So yeah, that's how Hilleric got back through and frustrated Price even more.
Yeah, this is what happened to Claudio. We got very, very close to Bradley Tidwell.
Too close in the end. Ran straight into the back of him.
I don't think he touched him.
I swear he did. Absolutely swear that he did. It's just too sudden for me for that to be on his own. Here we go. We're gonna end up right in the engine here. Hello.
Oh, there might have been a little bit of side to side on that one. Let's see, where else? I've marked up a couple of others that I wanted to have a quick look at. This was Mr. Bryce's incident.
The fast chicane. That looked a little bit loose right from the beginning, and he properly goes around before the final corner. Oh, stop on the circuit. And thankfully, there was nobody near him to get involved, as he then turned himself around, using the grass on the outside of that fast chicane. This is through turn 4 again for Adam Hansen, as he was chasing the leader. Anyone chasing Tidwell seemed to have trouble, and this wasn't any contact. This was over the curb.
Yeah, he bounced the curb, unsettled probably the only curb the BMW couldn't eat, and unfortunately goes round for Adam Hansen. But this is Michael Vesta in the Mustang. One more after this. I want to look at Hayden Young. Oh, gravel didn't help, and a fast approach also didn't help either, because he was definitely on his way round before he even got there. And then the final one of the evening is this one with Hayden Young.
Oh. Here.
That looks a bit weird. I think the initial one may have been internet issues here. So, oh no, he started going on his own, Van Roy, and then hits him.
That's very unlucky.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
Yeah,
but that's it. That's the main ones I wanted to look at.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Van Roy like we do, I feel like he would have apologised to Hayden after the race for that, because it wasn't really anybody's fault. Van Roy just lost the rear a little bit through that, but Hayden Young certainly came off second best through that, and knowing Van, he's very nice, Van Roy, David. So I'd imagine that he apologised at the end of that. But either way, that's just about it from the coffee cup from the Nurburg Ring. Again, I do feel like, as much as it ruins the flow of this circuit a little bit, the slower chicane after the back straight does promote overtaking a little bit. I'm glad to say, though, that this wasn't quite as much of a non-overtaking race as I thought it might be. It was definitely difficult. There's no doubting that, but it was at least possible, which is not always the case.
Yeah, there was still some good overtakes got done, didn't they? And that's the thing. I think we get to look forward to. There was still some that made a move here at the Nurburg Ring, which was great, because, as I said, it's either going to be one way or another here. And we had good racing. I enjoyed it. It was racing all the way through.
I'll just briefly bring you up to speed with the championship standings at the end of that round, just before we go tonight, after the 5th round of the OGRL Coffee Cup here from the Nurburg Ring. I need to bring them up myself, actually. That would help, wouldn't it?
Oh.
I hadn't factored that in.
You did.
I've had I've had the what do you call it? The ones going into this round up all day because obviously I've been looking at them for my own reference, but completely forgot about the end of the broadcast. Anyway, overall, Brian Faluna and David Van Roy are now tied at the top on 297, 14 ahead of Probert, 15 ahead of Lovings and Young. As I mentioned earlier, so close between those guys. Merriam's having a good season as well, and when his drop week comes in for not attending the Bend Motorsports Park, he will jump up. There's no doubt about that. In Pro-Am, Justin Duff Vase is now leading by 7 ahead of Quentin Price, with Brad Tidwell still making up for a couple of slightly off rounds, although again drop weeks will help him from third. He's tied with Cody Bont ahead of Tom Bryson, Alexander Claudio, the last drivers to have been at every round so far. Hilleric's got some good races together as well though, and he's in 7th. In the AMS, it is 5 points now for Ollinger rather than 4. John Gardner is the one 5 points behind, and then there's a bit of a gap being created now, really, to Jim Sawyer, Michael Vestia, Julian Race, Nicholas Marshall, the rest of them who have attended all the races so far this season, but they are just lagging behind slightly. Again, we'll apply drop weeks after the Zolder round, which is coming to you next. Of course, we'll be live on Sunday as normal with the OGRL Coffee Cup round 6. For season 4. Very much hope you can join us then. But for now, for myself, Ian Leary, James Parfitt alongside me, it's goodbye from the Nurburg Ring, and we'll see you in a few days at Zolder.